This passage 5, it's a research process passage. So we're going to approach it like a research passage. For our DRC approach, that means we're going to approach it like a reading passage. Just read, not super carefully, just enough to know what's going on. You're not presented two different studies in these. It's kind of a hybrid of data and research. One piece of data, but they're going to give you the process they went through. So you just want to quickly look at what's happening. That gives you two laws, law of definite proportion, law of conservation of mass. Both those are in italics. You know where to find them if you need them. They're using zinc and iodine. They give you numbered steps in the experiment. You will probably have a question over it, but I'm not going to go back to that yet. Then we have 5 trials: initial mass of zinc, initial mass of iodine, mass of unreacted, mass of dry solid, percent of mass of zinc in dry solid, and percent of mass 1 in dry solid. Just know where these are if you need to find them. You don't need to understand them. You just need to know where they are. Read and reread approach to the questions. Remember, you read the question and you reread it, breaking it down step by step. That's what we're going to do together. Number 27, which of the following graphs best shows the mass of dry solid obtained in trials 1 to 5? So mass of dry solid, we're using all the trials. So let's just break it down and look at one at a time. So trial 1 is about 2.52. We see that in choice C and in choice D, so we can eliminate A and B. Let's go to the next one, trial 2, 3.77. We see that in choice D, so your answer has to be D. Number 28. Consider the procedures and the experiments listed below. The procedures were performed in what order? So here's the annoying part of this question. Procedures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 don't correspond to these numbers. That would make it a really easy question, right? So we'll look at this first column. We can see it's either 2 or 4 that's performed first and second. So procedure 2 is add iodine to the flask. And we see that in procedure 2. Procedure 4 is add methanol to the flask. We see that is procedure 3. Right? And so which one occurred first? Adding iodine to the flask. And so we can eliminate choice H and J because that had 4 first. Now we can look at this third column, 1 or 3. So boil the contents of the flask or filter the contents of the flask. Which one was done first? Boiling the contents of the flask. So 1, so choice F. Number 29, which of the following expressions gives the mass of zinc that reacted in trial 1? So we see trial 1, but something interesting is the numbers are all the same. So it really doesn't matter which trial you're looking at because the numbers are the same. So just got to think of the concept. So the initial mass minus the unreacted mass will give you what's left, the reacted. So 2 minus 1.49 will give the reacted. So B. Number 30 is a suppose if Y question, so we're going to have to think a little bit. A trial had been performed in the experiment with 2 grams of zinc, so this column, so trial 1, 2, or 3, and 2.5 grams of iodine, so here between 2 and 3, between experiments 1 and 2. Based on the results, the mass of unreacted zinc would have been, so it's going to be between 1.49 and 1.23, so choice G. Number 31, which of the variables listed below were dependent variables in the experiment? So dependent depends on other variables, other things impact it. Independent is not impacted by other factors. So when we look at our choices from Roman numeral 1, 2, and 3, we have the initial mass of zinc, the mass of unreacted zinc, and the mass of the dry solid. So the mass of unreacted zinc and mass of dry solid both depend on how much was initially added. The initial amount is not dependent upon something else. You choose how much to put in, right? But then what happens to that in the reaction is what changes. And you can see that by the amounts are changing. So our answer is C, 2 and 3. Number 32, consider the results of trials 1 to 3. So we're just looking at 1 to 3, not 4 and 5. In those trials, as the initial mass of I2 increased, so as it goes up, the mass of unreacted zinc does what? It goes down, so decreased only. F. Number 33. Consider the trials in which the initial mass of iodine was 2 grams. So we're only looking at the 2-gram trials, so trials 1, 4, and 5. In those trials, as the initial mass of zinc increased, so as it goes up, the mass of the dry solid does what? So let's just mark out the ones that we don't have to look at. It goes from 2.52 to 2.51 and then back to 2.53. So it decreases and then increases. But that is not one of our answer choices. So we can't choose that, but it only changes by 0.01, and choice D says remained nearly constant. So it did stay nearly constant. D. Our reporting categories for this test, 4 of them are interpretation of data and 3 of them are scientific investigation. Look at those questions if you missed them to understand how that type of question might throw you off. Reach out if you have any questions. We'll end on a chemistry joke that's already making me giggle. What do you call an acid with an attitude? Amino acid. Think about that one. Have a good day.